Welcome to this week's episode of the Healthy Brain Podcast. And this week is part two of how to rediscover your energy and vitality. And we're carrying on the conversation and the coaching. I'm actually going to give you a lot of little coaching tools and tips around your energy. If you haven't done the energy audit from part one, where I guide you through that, it's last week's episode. Stop this podcast and go listen to the other one, or you can just listen to this one and then go back to the first one, whatever you'd like to do. But we are really just going to carry on from that energy audit. Before I get started, though, I want to invite you to my free Reignite Your Life Workshop next Monday, September 29th. If you have been looking for something to kickstart your health and life, then this workshop is for you. Join me in this dynamic workshop where you'll learn how to reclaim your energy and vitality, tap into your life's mission, and rediscover how to live a life you love. If you've been experiencing low energy, lack the motivation, you feel like you've missed life opportunities, life is passing you by so quickly. Maybe you feel like there's more to life, but you don't know how to figure it out or where to start. You don't really feel excited about your life anymore. And you may say to yourself, well, why can't I do what I say I want to do? I completely understand because I felt that same way. And in fact, I coach women every day who have felt the same way, and they're coaching and getting results. Great news, you can achieve and change all of this. You can rediscover your purpose, re-energize your life, and create a life you love. And with that, let's get to today's episode. So just make sure, actually, about the Reignite Your Life podcast, it's in the link to register is in the show notes. All right. So today's episode, I want to share 5 things that you can do to rediscover your energy and vitality. Before we get into the 5, first you have to be aware of what's draining you. That's what that energy audit was for last week. Many of us think it is only physical tasks or maybe even mental tasks, like working on a project late night or long days, focused attention tasks. And yes, those can result in decreased energy for sure. But have you ever experienced when you have low energy, you're just like, oh, I just don't feel like doing anything. And then you get great news or you talk to somebody or a good friend and your energy seems to be recharged like within minutes. That's because there is power in the emotion and how we think and how we feel. So, first off, you want to become aware of what is draining your energy. And like I said, that energy audit will give you a really good idea of where the energy is being pulled from, how you're interacting with people, how you're living your life. So the 5 things, let's get into it. The 5 things, and these are just 5 things. There's many other, but I just wanted to give you some top 5 things, and we're going to be going into a lot more of it in the workshop. So you wanted to rediscover your energy and vitality. And a lot of times you want to stop, you got to realize that you're hiding from your emotions. And I know it may sound like, no, I'm not. I feel my emotions, but are you numbing out with behaviors like over consuming food, alcohol, overspending, over scrolling, when we're over consuming, overdoing things without I don't want to say really boundaries, but where you just feel like you're just checking out from life and you're checking out from maybe some responsibilities, but feeling like you just don't want to feel whatever it is that you're avoiding. It's leading you to these non-productive behaviors. Many of us have been ignoring our emotions for a long time and have turned to many unhealthy habits, and that was me. Quite a few years ago, I was in my era of late night nachos and salsa and wine. I was ignoring my emotions, which I later discovered were just a few of them were frustration, disappointment, embarrassment, regret, just to name a few. When I finally learned how to stop hiding from my emotions, like figuring out like what's going on, I knew I wanted to change. I knew I needed something had to change because I didn't like what was happening in my life. And I realized that I was hiding from my emotions. First, we become aware, like I said, with the emotion of knowing what the emotion is. You name the emotion and you process the emotion. Now, it seems like very cut and dry, but a lot of us, when we're like, okay, what do we do? How do we process the emotions? You can process through them through different modalities, such as like moving your body, exercising, walking, dancing, listening to music, journaling. In my legacy life coaching program, we actually learn how to process our emotions and get unstuck. We shift our mindset, we shift how we're thinking, and this changes the emotion that we are feeling. When you start feeling hopeful, energetic, excited, confident, loving, peaceful, joyful, then you will have the interest and energy to experience the vitality of life. It's amazing when this happens. And when my clients discover this for the first time, it's like, wow, they're like, okay, let's do some more. Let's see what we can uncover and start living an amazing life. And it is a process. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay, the second thing that you could do to rediscover your energy is to prioritize you. Yes, I know you've probably heard it before. You know that scenario, put your oxygen mask on before you put it on others. Conceptually, we know it. We know it, but women especially don't do it. Maybe it's the compassion, caring genetics that we have in us that we're made of. But the women, I would say every woman that I've worked with, and I know because even myself, I have the ones that I've worked with, they are looking for permission to prioritize themselves. They're looking for permission. They don't realize it, but they're waiting for someone to say, take the time. And even when they say, prioritize yourself, um, take care of yourself with self-care things, or prioritize yourself means working on you. What do you want in life? And even when people are asked that, they still don't know. It's because of years of not prioritizing yourself. So with coaching, I really help people. I really help them to start learning what they want, what they need for their health and their life. This also means taking control of how you spend your day and setting actions in line with goals, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So, the third thing that you can do to rediscover your energy and vitality is set up routines that support self care and your goals, like a morning routine or an evening routine. When you set, I have actually an intentional morning course that walks you through how to create your own grounding morning routine. And this is a course that's in my coaching program, the Legacy Life. So people who coach with me, they get it automatically. And they create their own morning, intentional morning routine. And I can say that that is one of the most transformative practices that you can do. It doesn't have to be long, but setting up a morning routine, something where you're into, and that's why I called it in many years ago, intentional morning course, is because that's when, or intentional morning routine is that's what I was creating, an intention. I wanted to start my day with a focus on my goals of what I wanted to achieve, who I needed to help, my family. all of that. It was, instead of waking up and just rolling through the day, if I don't have my morning routine, I feel off all day. There's not the rhythm that I set. Now, I've also found that an evening routine is also very effective for helping you with energy as well. So keep that in mind. Like, where can you set up routines that support you? It supports your brain because it uses less energy when you have a routine set up. So that can really help to boost energy when you have routines. The fourth thing you could do is set goals. Now, these goals, when I talk about goals with my clients, it's like they're lighthouses that you want to look ahead at, and it guides you towards these lighthouses, that all your actions, whether you're working on a 1 month goal, 3 month goal. So, what we do in the coaching program, we set a 3 month goal, but we break it down to 1 month goals. And then we break it down to weekly goals and weekly actions, daily actions. What are the things that you can do that will, with day upon day of doing these actions? And they may differ, of course, if you're working on a particular project, then it's going to look different where you'll have different activities every day. But if one of your goals is a health goal, then you'll have some activities, actions that you're creating habits. They're going to be the same thing every day. And that's the consistency. So we are not really taught how to set a goal and how to achieve it. Some of us learn it when we're going through school, and it depends on if you've had a teacher who I think kids nowadays are exposed to it, actually. I should actually ask my kids, the young adults, and see when they actually have been taught. I talk about goals a lot with them, but I want to find out when, if and when some of the teachers have talked about it with them. But really, it having that as, and some people like don't are like, I don't want to set a goal, and because one, they don't understand what it is, but more than likely, they might have tried that goal and that New Year's resolution, and it hasn't worked out, because it doesn't work out for a lot of people when we do it the way that, without the structure that I teach in my coaching program, or that is really shown. Many people have used this. It's a neuroscience based approach to creating a goal and achieving a goal, an outcome. So I think a lot of people get turned off from setting goals because they're like, well, it's just not for me. I'm not organized. I just procrastinate too much. I can't do it because I failed before. And maybe they don't even say that they've failed before, but they're indicating they have failed before, and they don't trust themselves that they'll keep commitments. And that's part of what I love to do, is coach people to show them that you actually don't have to do these huge actions. It's the small things that you do every day that will lead up to the change, because you're changing how you approach life. You're changing who you are when you are moving towards this goal. And we don't just set a goal and leave it. We learn the steps and overcome the obstacles that always come up. I found that when people have a goal to work towards, they have a renewed sense of energy. They know where and how to put that energy to good use to achieve that goal. Because many of us, when we first start, like even New Year's resolution, you have the motivation, you have the energy, but then where does it go after a few days or a week or 2 weeks of working on it? It's because we're faced with, ooh, this is harder than we thought. And what I would work on with somebody, if you found that this happens time and time again, You want to look at, can you make that action smaller? Can you do a workout, but instead of saying you're going to work out 5 days a week, can you do it 3 days a week? And what are you doing? How long will it be? Can you make that even shorter? Because you want those wins. You want your brain to make a connection with, I've set a goal for working out 2 to 3 times a week. I make it, maybe it's 20 minutes. That's okay. If you're not doing anything, 20 minutes is so much better than 0 minutes. And you do it one day, and then you take a day off, you do it the next day. By the end of the week, you can look back, and when you have done those 2 to 3 workouts that you said you were going to do, your brain starts to believe you that you are a person who keeps commitments to themselves. That is who you want to become, is a person who keeps commitments to themselves. But if you're always creating a goal but not achieving it, your brain hasn't gotten that, like, the system of knowing, like, well, this is what I do. You haven't found, it's not your fault. It's that you haven't found the right recipe. It's almost like a recipe. Like, what's going to work for you is a bit different than what's going to work for somebody else. That's why we can't just do a cookie cutter kind of approach. That's why the coaching can really be helpful for people to dial it in and look at, okay, in my case, yes, this person's doing this, but in my case, this is what I need. Okay, so let's go to the fifth. The fifth one is a big one. To rediscover your energy and vitality, I would recommend to rediscover your faith. You were made worthy. You are loved by God. You're destined to use your gifts. But many of you are so caught up in the stress of life that you may not even know what your gifts are, or you don't know how to use your gifts. When I rediscovered my faith a few years ago, because it was a bit rocky, can't lie. I mean, I'll share it at one point. But I rediscovered my faith through a journey that I had to go through. And I truly stepped into living in my faith every single day. And my life has changed. Whatever that is for you, step into your faith and trust. And this is the coolest thing that happens. This is what I've experienced. When you have faith that things will work out, that God has your back, it frees up energy for you to focus on what is in your control, how you're thinking, how you're talking to people, what actions you're motivated to take, how you spend your days. It's this, we're carrying around, we often use this in coaching, a backpack of our worries and of our regrets and our stories and our things that are just weighing us down. And I had a backpack full, 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 full. I still can get some backpack items in there once in a while. Yeah, it still happens. But when I am able to give my backpack to God and say, I trust in you, I trust that you'll take care of things. Now, I still have to do the work. I still do the things, but when I give that in faith, because I believe, I'm able then to open up my brain and my mind to what I can do in this moment, what the possibilities are, because I'm not weighed down by that backpack. So, as a review, the 5 steps, the 5 things that you could do, and again, I would reiterate, it's not, these aren't all of them, but these I think are some heavy hitters. One, start to process your emotions. Process your emotions. 2, prioritize you. 3, set up routines that support your self-care and your goals. 4, set goals like, again, like they're a lighthouse. So set goals and plan. So sometimes people just set the goals, they don't plan, but that's important. Set the goals and have a plan and implement. And 5, rediscover your faith and give your backpack up. Lay it down. Set it to the side. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. I invite you to join and register the free Reignite Your Life workshop on Monday, September 29th. The link is in the show notes, and you will learn what it takes to live a connected and energized life. Thanks for sharing and coming on to the Healthy Brain Podcast.